Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things AEW and WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in-depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Join us as we dive into the high-octane action, dramatic storylines, and backstage buzz of AEW and WWE. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Welcome everyone to the Halloween episode of Top Tier Wrestling. I am your host, 1, 2, 3 Count Joshua, with my lovely co-host, Whoop That Trick or Treat, Dawn. And today, we're reviewing AEW Fright Night Dynamite. Let's begin.
Oh.
Happy Halloween!
A happy Halloween. Wow.
It's-
Amazing.
Our episode is on Halloween. However, Dynamite was All Hallows Eve. And Fright Night Dynamite did not let us down. It was excellent.
Scary how
Spoiler,
good it was.
it was super good. We open the night with what looks to be another Blackpool Combat Club pre-taped video where Moxley was going to go on a long-winded tirade and still not explain what their motivation is. However, the video gets cut off, and here comes Orange Cassidy walking to the ring. And it looks like Cassidy is stepping up to be the leader of Team AEW against the Moxley crew.
Yeah.
And kind of in a very unexpected show opening promo, Cassidy goes on to say that while this isn't him and he doesn't like to do this because he's no leader, after last week watching his best friend Chuck Taylor get his neck crushed by a steel chair, Cassidy realized he was surrounded by the people that he shouldn't have been. He says these people are very young and he was surrounded by the future of AEW and they have no idea of the danger that they're in. They don't realize how dangerous Jon Moxley is. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, we've watched Moxley attempt to kill Daniel Bryan on 3 separate occasions and then crush Chuck Taylor's neck. Maybe they're getting an idea of how dangerous, but we'll go with it. And Cassidy says he knew right then and there what he needed to do. Moxley doesn't need AEW. He never has. However, Orange Cassidy needs AEW because he doesn't exist without AEW. And he goes on to say there is no me, there is no us, there is no this without AEW. And in order to stop this, he needs to cut the head off the snake. He then challenges Jon Moxley at Full Gear for the AEW Heavyweight Championship. He's going to take the symbol of AEW, what it represents, out of Moxley's bag and put it into his backpack. And he says Cassidy isn't hard to find. He's where he is every single week, right in the middle of this ring, because he's freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. He's going to be the next AEW World Champion, and he still doesn't need a catchphrase.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. And that was the beginning of a whole lot of people kind of getting outside of what we've seen in AEW to be their comfort zones this evening. It started with Orange Cassidy cutting a relatively lengthy show opening promo.
Great way of putting that. What you just said is a great way of putting that, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail you, but the way you just explained that this was an episode where there were a lot of people doing or being pushed out of their comfort zone, that's a fantastic narration for this episode.
Indeed. I feel as we continue to proceed through this episode, we'll see how a lot of people have gone above and beyond and rose to meet the challenge of stepping outside of their comfort zones and showing us, presenting themselves in a way we haven't seen them do so in AEW before.
Yeah.
And after that particular opening promo, we are brought to the back with Rennie Packets, our favorite. And she is catching up with Mercedes Moné and Camille as they're entering the building. And Renee says she would like a prediction. Like, she asked Mercedes, who does she think will win, Camille or Statlander tonight? And Mercedes says that she hates stupid questions.
She was very taken aback.
And I guess in a way, I mean, I can kind of see where she's coming from, because like you're asking like Camille and Mercedes who they think will win in a match between Camille.
Yeah, and I mean technically Mercedes is Camille's manager in this particular situation, and you're basically walking up to the manager of a fighter and going, predictions, who do you think's gonna win this match? It's gonna be my guy.
You or your opponent? And it's like, oh, clearly the other guy has it. No, I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna get on mic right next to my fighter and go, yeah, the opponent looks like he's gonna squeak out a win on this. Like, what the?
Yeah.
No.
So
yeah, I get it.
Renee then goes on to wish Camille luck, and Mercedes says, "You don't need luck when you're with the CEO." And CEO. And that sort of leads us into our first match of the night, which is right out the gate. It's Adam Cole versus Buddy Matthews, and this is a match that was made, I believe, on Collision, where Buddy Matthews challenged Adam Cole, and Adam Cole asked him, "Why are you stepping to me?" And Buddy says, "To prove you're fragile." And so now we get to find out who was right.
Yeah. And may I?
Absolutely.
What a great freaking match. This is probably my favorite match of the night. It was not the most technical. It wasn't the most clean. There were a couple of flubs from Adam, but again, my man hasn't. I said again as if I had already said this, but I haven't. I've said it to you, but I'll say it now to the people listening. He's been out of the ring for 14 months, I think.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And so he's been out for that long, and his return match is with Buddy freaking Matthews. I think I could cut my man a little slack. Adam Cole is literally half the size of Buddy Matthews when they're in the ring. I think Buddy Matthews could probably pull off his biceps and make another Adam Cole. So
yeah,
so I gotta give my man some leeway. And also, I will admit that I came into this match completely open, completely marking out for Adam Cole. I love both wrestlers here. Buddy Matthews, I'm a fan of. His physique is ridiculous, and so is he in the ring. He's a powerhouse, and I know if I were a male competitor, I would not want to be in the ring with Buddy Matthews or Brody or just basically House of Black.
Just pretty much anyone in the House of Black. Yeah.
I'm so good. Please and thank you. No, thank you. But the storytelling here sold this match.
Yeah. Yep. Not to say that there wasn't some great wrestling, but you're right. It was the story.
There was some great wrestling, but the storytelling for me really took this match to the next level. Had it just been the physicality of the match, I don't think I would be as up on it. I think I would have been like, it was good. That's all right. It was a good match, But
Yep.
adding the storyline, adding the dynamic of Buddy Matthews being the aggressor to push Adam Cole to the next level, to take him back to who he used to be instead of this new fragile Adam Cole. It was fantastic. And Adam, for his part, did a great job selling his concern for his ankle, any type of injury that he may have experienced, any type of pain that came about from the ankle. He did a great job of playing that out. Like honestly, both men did a fantastic job. There was one point where the doctor is taking a look at Adam's ankle, and Adam's ready to call it. Like, they're basically agreeing that it's not worth it, and so the doctor and the ref are basically going down the ramp with Adam. Um, and Buddy gets on the mic and basically calls him out. He's like, "I can't believe you're about to run. This is exactly my point. This new Adam is so so fragile." And I think he called him a little bitch, uh, something along those lines. And
Yeah, I think it
that,
was something like, "Oh, you're just gonna walk away." The old Adam Cole wouldn't walk away, but apparently the new Adam Cole's a little bitch. That was Buddy
yeah,
Matthews.
yeah. And Adam Cole was like, "Oh hell no!" So then, so then he turns back. He turns back to the ring, and he limps his ass up there. He limps his ass into the ring, and gets back into the match with Buddy Matthews, who immediately proceeds to go right in on that ankle again. Um, yeah, but long story short, uh, longer story short, a tad bit shorter. Adam Cole ends up winning this match, and I think he does so with what is it, Panama? Okay, so there was a Panama Sunrise.
Yeah,
But he
there
did
was a
one.
couple of them. Yeah,
Yeah, he did one. Uh, was it outside? He ended up outside on the apron and
yeah.
doing another one.
Yeah, the ending sequence was pretty vicious. We we had this was a solid match, and the
Yeah,
storytelling elements that you were mentioning were very, very good because Cole is back for his first match, like you said, in 14 months. So he's selling like that. He's tentative on that ankle, like right out the gate. He's a little ginger with it. There was a part where he got faked into jumping off of the apron to avoid a punch from Matthews, and when he
yeah,
lands, he sells that it hurt his ankle. So the whole
yeah,
time, Cole is absolutely selling that this ankle is still kind of an issue, and that's how we ended up at the point where Doc Samson is wanting to call the match off, but as they're trying to walk out, that's when Buddy Matthews grabbed a mic and called him a little bitch, which lured Adam back to the match. And so kudos to Cole for performing with very little ring rust and still selling this injury. And
yeah.
absolute kudos to Buddy Matthews for stepping up and showing more personality than I think we usually get to see from him, because usually he's
True.
just the dark and brooding type, and now they're like, no, no, speak and do stuff and show off your personality. And
Yeah,
that's re-emphasizing kind of people stepping up out of their comfort zone. In this situation, Adam Cole is his first televised match in 14 months, and Buddy Matthews is getting to show a side of his personality that's usually not on display because of the way House of Black are kind of the stoic, dark, punch more, say less kind of folks.
yeah,
And to circle back to kind of the ending sequence, it was pretty brutal. Like the match was fairly brutal, but for a lot of it, Buddy Matthews was just tearing up Adam Cole. And
yeah,
in the ending sequence, he grabs up Adam Cole and hits him with a turnbuckle bomb. And then out of the turnbuckle bomb, he hits a curb stomp. And you can definitely see where back in the day, Buddy Matthews worked alongside of Seth freaking Rollins
yeah,
back when he was in the WWE here. And the buckle bomb into the curb stomp, we're like, oh shit, Cole's done. That's it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Cole kicks out at 1 at this point. Like he's like, nope, I'm done putting up with your crap. And so he hits him with some elbows, and then he super kicks the freaking life out of Buddy Matthews. And I mean, not for nothing, Adam Cole has a pretty nasty super kick. We haven't seen it in a while, so it was impressive. I was like, wow, he super kicked the crap out of him. Yeah. And from that super kick, he lands a Panama Sunrise. Which, for any who might be listening that aren't familiar, that's where he climbs up to the middle rope and then dives out of the corner onto an opponent that's kind of in a kneeling position, and then, like, from there, jumps immediately into a Canadian destroyer. And he hits that on Matthews, and as you were kind of getting to is, like, how did they get outside? It's because Matthews, after he gets nailed with that Canadian destroyer, rolls out of the ring to avoid being pinned. And so Cole then follows him out and does another one of those Panama Sunrises to the outside off of the apron.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite get the full rotation. I'm not sure if Adam Cole didn't flip hard enough, or maybe Buddy Matthews didn't, or maybe Adam Cole held back to keep Buddy Matthews from taking it so directly on the top of the head. It still looked cool, but it was slightly off, I think, is where you were going with some of these.
Yeah.
And then he rolls Buddy Matthews back into the ring and lowers the boom, which is sort of a shining wizard, but to the back of a kneeling opponent's head, and gets the 1, 2, 3. And this ended up having way more drama for a match that just came seemingly out of nowhere off of Collision with no heat really been built. They turned this into kind of a very hot match between these two. But surprisingly, not in a like I hate you kind of a way, like, because at the end Cole sort of thanks Buddy Matthews for, I know what you tried to do. You were trying to bring out the old Adam Cole, and so I can appreciate that. And he ends up shaking hands with Buddy Matthews, but then the lights go out. And then when the lights come back on, Adam Cole is now shaking hands with Malachi Black, who is dressed to the nines in a fantastic suit, and the whole crowd is like, oh snap. And so immediately it looks like Adam Cole's next match is going to be against Malachi Black.
Yeah.
And
not gonna lie, the story.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's too
I'll give
big.
It back. Oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal it from you.
Well,
do you want to take it over?
Long story short, it looks like his next opponent's going to be Malachi Black. Now I'm done.
Well, and I thought you were going to go on to say why this is significant as it relates to Adam Cole trying to get a match at Full Gear with MJF, and how he needs to do a certain number of matches and wins in a row.
Yeah, he's got to do 3. And he's done 1. So, and later after the match, Adam Cole was in the back with the Undisputed Kingdom. That would be Roderick and the other 2. And
the I'm Matt Taven and Mike Bennett.
Yeah, the other 2. What did I say? And Cole is really close to the camera. Really close. But, he's big facing it, and while he's big facing it, he says he has to teach MJF a lesson. And then he went on a promo, like he cut a promo about all the people that MJF has turned his back on, and how he he needs MJF to quit lying to himself, and admit that he was going to stab him in the back the first chance he got. Now, this kind of lost me just a little bit, because I remember the interaction between the two of them, and how many times they try to give a situation to MJF where he could have stabbed Adam in the back and he chose not to. So, with Adam Cole saying something along the lines of, stop lying to yourself, you were going to stab me in the back the first chance you got. He'd already proven that he wouldn't, because he didn't. But I know they gotta progress the storyline, and they're trying to make MJF the heel again, and Adam Cole the face. I get it. I'm just saying he probably should have just left that little part out and just stayed focused on the current and future matches that he has and why he's doing them, which is MJF told him the first person between him and Roderick to finish the first three matches would get a match with him. So maybe he should have just kind of stayed on that.
Yeah, and if I can speak to that as well, it's what's the stipulation? It's either Adam Cole or Roderick Strong getting the first 3 consecutive wins.
Yeah,
gets a match with MJF at Full Gear. And this is the first of those 3, and so it looks like Malachi Black is probably going to be number 2. So it makes me wonder, is Brody King going to be number 3? Because he seems to be working his way through the House of Black.
That's hard.
And I do think it's a bit of a stretch, like you said, that Cole is trying to sell the idea that MJF was inevitably going to betray him, so that justifies him betraying MJF first. But I can also appreciate that they are really trying to make it make sense. Like, this is one of the storylines that have become kind of convoluted, and now they're trying to right the ship.
Oh, I know. So they're trying very hard.
Yeah, so he pointed out how MJF in the past screwed over Wardlow, and I think he also pointed out that he screwed over, was it Chris Jericho, I think? And so, we've seen it happen in the past. We know that, this is who you are, MJF. So his rationale is that it justified him betraying MJF first because inevitably MJF was going to betray Adam Cole, is what he's trying to sell here. And I kind of agree with you. I'm like, it's a little thin, but I can appreciate them trying to untangle the way that Adam Cole and MJF's positions in this storyline and flip-flopping between being the face or the heel has really sort of kind of come undone, and now they're trying to repair it. So I'll let him have it. Yeah, because, to me, it shows that they realize that it's a little bit messed up. Like, they see it, too, and they're trying to fix it. So I can't really fault them for making the effort to make it make sense.
I agree. And also, throughout the match, we did get a glimpse of MJF watching the match, and we also saw Kyle O'Reilly backstage watching the match several times. I think they showed him 2 or 3 times. Just side note there.
Yeah, no, it's worth noting because Kyle O'Reilly made a point to say, because I think somebody addressed it with him. I don't know if it was Renee Paquette or whatnot. They had asked him, oh, we saw you eyeballing. He's like, yeah, I was looking, but, I was watching everything that's going down. And, but make no mistake, I'm not trying to rejoin the Undisputed Era. I'm perfectly happy here in the conglomeration. And yet we keep seeing him, they keep showing us him watching what's happening with Adam Cole, baby. And so clearly there's something that's going to happen there. Otherwise you wouldn't keep showing us Kyle watching something, So we shall see how that eventually plays itself out.
Yeah.
But Adam... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
After Adam Cole's promo with the Undisputed Kingdom, we have Kyle Fletcher and Don Callis come out to the stage. They didn't walk all the way to the ring. They stopped sort of just outside of Gorilla on the entrance stage. And Callis has a mic, and he tells us that Fletcher has something important to say. And I think we were both like, again? Didn't he do this last time? Yeah. And so Fletcher basically calls out Will Ospreay. And he's like, "Come on, Will." And when Will's music doesn't play because Will is apparently out injured and Fletcher knows this, he's like, "See, Osprey, you big old coward." And then instead of Osprey's music eventually playing, instead Aussie Open's music plays, and Kyle Fletcher's tag partner from Aussie Open, Mark Davis, makes his way out. And we haven't seen Davis in months. I think he was out injured for a long time too. And he comes out to confront Kyle Fletcher, and Fletcher initially says that Mark wasn't the man he was expecting, but it's good to see him. And Fletcher goes in for like a welcome back hug, and Davis puts his hand up, and he says he wishes he could say the same thing about it being good to see Kyle Fletcher, but Osprey is laid up because of Kyle Fletcher, and Davis goes on to say, "I don't even recognize you, man." And basically calls out Kyle Fletcher for breaking up the what are they called? The Empire, do you remember?
I think it was the Empire or something like that.
Yeah.
Because Davis mentions it whenever Fletcher tells him that he has a spot in the family. And I think it was called Empire or something, because he said, "Family mate, we had an empire," and Fletcher destroyed
it. Yeah, by attacking Will Ospreay. And I'm pretty sure the Empire was Aussie Open and Will Ospreay, but I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
Sorry, but moving on from that, basically Davis tells Fletcher that he disagrees with him having attacked their brother Ospreay, and that he doesn't recognize this new Kyle Fletcher. And Fletcher says Callis opened his eyes and made him see that Will Ospreay was just using both of them to advance his own career. And he goes on to tell Davis, like you said, that he's got a spot in the family, and Callis wants a hug. I'm not Callis, sorry, Fletcher and Kyle. Sorry, Fletcher and Callis both sort of open their arms to try and invite Mark Davis in for a hug, and he just walks past them. And Fletcher sort of, speaks back to him as he's walking off the stage and says, "There's going to come a day real soon when Davis has a hard decision to make, but that Fletcher has already proved he has no problems cutting the past loose." So, if we were wondering where Aussie Open was, where it stands right now with everything that's gone on and how long Mark Davis has been out, we just got some answers there. And I guess the final answer will be Davis deciding, I suppose, once and for all where he stands, either with Kyle Fletcher or against. But
and I'm thinking he kind of already made that decision when he walked out.
Exactly. At this point, it's looking like against.
Yeah, but, he told him he comes there, I disapprove, and now I'm leaving. I don't want to hug you. And Kyle Fletcher's like, "Well, you're gonna have to make up your mind one day." And he's like, "Bruh."
Bruh. Yeah, so I don't know if that's a settled question as far as Davis is concerned, but Fletcher has left it open-ended for, I guess, one more answer, like one more definitive yay or nay. So
yeah.
But that was interesting, and we'll see how that plays out, because we had those very questions. Like when we saw Fletcher and Ospreay tagging up, we were like, well, where does this leave Mark Davis? And now we're getting some of those answers. And it was also good that Mark Davis is back. We're getting some people coming back from long-time injuries, and that's good.
Yeah.
And then after that, we are brought to Hangman Page in the back with Rennie Packets, and he says he knows Switchblade's game plan going into Full Gear. He knows that Switchblade's going to attack his knee, based on that match that they had where that was exactly what he did. And he goes on to say, however, Switchblade has no idea what my game plan will be going into Full Gear. Is he going to is he going to attack Switchblade with like a syringe and a chair? Is he going to make Switchblade watch his friends suffer? Or is he going to set Switchblade's house on fire? And he's like, you won't know, but no matter what he ends up deciding to do, Page is going to leave White laying in the same way as he's left so many others before that stood in his way. And that is with less than they came to the dance with.
Yeah. Man cut a mean promo.
Yeah. And I'm super here for it.
It was murder by words, honestly.
It really was.
He got on the mic and it was like a freestyle diss track that he just fucking laid out. Here we are living our lives, not expecting to see or witness a verbal murder. We didn't know. We were just here for some good matches. We're trying to live our lives, man. And then all of a sudden, Hangman just verbally hangs Switchblade. Honestly, lyrical laceration. Plus 10 to tongue whip. Like, my man just
plus 10 to tongue whip.
Yeah, he just caused the verbal destruction somewhere, wherever Switchblade was. He heard that and just immediately hit the ground. Wherever he was, he passed out. He lost one of his souls, one of his lives came out of his body for a moment. Like he stepped into the light, Carol Ann. And then he came back and was like, "The fuck happened?" Because Hangman out of nowhere was like, "Death."
Yeah, somewhere Switchblade and Juice are out having like a pumpkin spice latte for the Halloween season, and then Switchblade just starts bleeding from out of nowhere, and he can't explain what happened.
Yes, hey, I imagine it. They are sitting on a bale of hay, swinging their little legs, and Switchblade's like, "This is nice," and he takes a sip of his pumpkin spice and then starts bleeding from the eyes.
Right, just random eye bleed.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween, Switchblade.
And he's like, what's happening?
And I tell you what, I'm absolutely here for it, because since Switchblade's return, he has looked nothing short of spectacular in the ring.
Yeah.
Again, another guy who's come back after a relatively long hiatus and has had zero apparent ring rust, just looking incredible in his matches.
God knows what he's gonna look like the next time we see him, though. Seriously, he might not look like the same guy anymore. He might be Frankenstein's monster when we see him again. So
he's gonna come back as the Stitchblade instead of the Switchblade.
Hey! This freaking guy over here, huh? Yeah, love it.
But I'm real excited to see their next match, because I think they're going to make it an absolute banger. And regardless of who wins or loses that match, the winners will be us for having watched it.
Yeah. It was great. Long story short, why do I keep saying long story short today? Every podcast, there's something. What is wrong with me?
I don't know.
What is my problem?
Speech patterns. I don't know.
What do I do? Why do me mouth face word? Yeah. This was great. It was a great promo. Speaking of great promos, I believe this is when we go back to the ring or we get backstage, I think, and we see Blackpool gathering, right? Are they walking come out the ring?
This promo ends up taking place in the ring, where all of the BC club crew, whatever they're calling themselves, Moxley's crew, ends up making their way to the ring. And Moxley grabs the mic, so we all realize that we're about to hear a whole lot of words that don't explain anything. And
Oh my
he goes
God.
on to suggest that Cassidy thinks he challenged Moxley, and we were like, yeah, because he did. But apparently we were wrong because Moxley corrects us and says, no, Moxley challenged him when he had his friend's neck broken and he cut some dead weight out of Cassidy's life. So Moxley, in fact, challenged Orange Cassidy and has now freed him from distractions so that Cassidy can focus on his goals.
Like, how is that freeing him from distraction? Now you got his friend in the hospital. He's trying to figure out
If anything, he's
gonna
worried
walk
about
again
it.
or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just finishing up with. That was really it.
Oh, gotcha. And Moxley continues to say everyone pointed to Cassidy and said he would be AEW's leader, but Cassidy kept saying no, he's no leader. And Moxley says that's not the Cassidy he knows. He isn't some fat cat happy with a paycheck. He says Cassidy hasn't even begun to walk through the valley yet. And I don't know. I was lost a little bit here. He's like, because suddenly he's talking about mountaintops and valleys, and I'm like, but you're in a ring. But we'll go with it. I guess Moxley likes metaphors. And I don't know. Lash and Jakar Jackson are pretty cool, so I could see why you like metaphor. But he goes on to say, so Cassidy, you want Moxley? That's fine. But when that happens, you're not going to fight him on the mountaintop. You're going to fight him in the valley. And you better be willing to die, because Moxley is. And he goes on to say, Cassidy, you think you're pulling the strings? Let's just see about that right now. And it is at that point that Pac and Marina Shafir grab Wheeler Yuta. And Yuta's like, wait, what? I thought I was on this team. And they force him kind of to the ground, and Claudio goes and grabs a chair and proceeds to wrap it around Wheeler Yuta's neck. And just when it looks like they're fixing to give Wheeler Yuta the wheelchair maneuver, Orange Cassidy comes rushing to the ring. And he summarily proceeds to get stomped out as, literally all of the rest of the Blackpool Combat Crew, Moxley's buddies, all step on Cassidy. And
except for Shafir, she's over there in the corner slapping Yuta.
Right, because Yuta's into that. And then once Yuta is out of the chair, he immediately starts putting the boots to Cassidy as well, and it becomes clear that they never really intended to do anything to Yuta. It was all bait to pull Cassidy into the ring to get a stomp down. However, while this beatdown is taking place, Dark Order rushes the ring and only mildly distracts Moxley's Death Squad. And after a bit of the Dark Order going back and forth with the members of Moxley's crew, while they're fighting at ringside, suddenly Darby Allin sort of appears from the rafters. And it didn't look like a smooth descent initially to me. I don't know how you felt about it, but it almost looked like Darby came down like somebody who was a hanged man.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening?
Is he a Halloween piñata? What's happening? And then then he descends all the way to the bottom and proceeds to start beating up Claudio.
He was still attached to the rig. He was
still attached to the rig. Yeah, there was a point where Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order had to help get him out of the rig. I mean, not that it ended up looking terrible. I mean, this is just how it had to play out. And Claudio at one point just picks up Darby and throws him through the announce table. Like it wasn't like a power bomb or a power slam. It was more like just a yeet into the table, and Darby was like "Burk," and
Yeah.
then after that, Top Flight and Leo Rush come out and start fighting against Moxley's combat crew, and you know that's going for a little bit, and then Daniel Garcia and Private Party make their way out there, and this sort of is like enough of AEW that can like push back Moxley's crew, and so they start retreating back through the crowd and into the back, with a lot of the AEW group following, and that sort of leaves Private Party in the ring, and that cues up the Young Bucks music. And so apparently we go immediately from that segment, which was interesting to see the war between the Moxley crew and AEW starting to really play out.
I think you mean the Black Death Pool Squad Combat Club crew.
The bubonic plague Blackpool Crew Club gang.
Yeah, there squad. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it just rolls off the tongue, really.
The White Power Get Along gang.
Oh, no.
I said it! I said that. I mean, come on, it's so there. It's so there. It's just hanging in the air like someone's fart in the elevator. It's
no.
It's there, guys. You know it's there. Stop it. I don't know. What would they do? What would they do if somebody just started screaming out like some racial like epithet like in the audience? Whenever the Black Death Pool Squad Combat Crew Club went out there.
I would imagine cut immediately to commercial.
Oh my god! You know they would be like, oh no. If somebody was just like, pick the color of somebody, insert color here power. If somebody did that, I can only imagine somebody would shit his second golden egg.
Second one.
The second one. The first one, I don't know what happened to it. I think he sold it and moved. But yeah. I'm telling you, he'd shit his second one.
Excalibur would put on another 2 masks and try to hide.
Yeah, yeah. The only person I think who would try to sell that or work that out would be Nigel McGuinness. If he was on a commentary, Nigel would be like, "Well, there you have it." Someone in the audience expressing feelings. He would try.
Probably. Nigel might try to roll with it. I don't
know. To tell it.
But where I'm going to roll is into the next match. Rolling into the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Because since we had Private Party already in the ring, the Young Bucks took the opportunity to immediately hit their entrance and come out to the ring. And suddenly we have the World Tag Team Championship match. And this is kind of a big deal match, not just because of those belts, but because of the stipulation that in order to have gotten this match, Private Party had to offer the stipulation up that if they lose, the party's over. Private Party has to split up forever. Forever, ever? Yeah, forever, ever. And do you have anything you'd like to say about this particular match?
I think I do.
Well, go for it.
This is probably the best Private Party has looked ever. And I'm not saying that they normally look bad. They've had some flubs in the recent past that I can think of, but I mean, again, sometimes wrestlers have off nights, so I am not dinging them for that at all. I'm just saying that this match was like epic. It was one of those matches that would be that would be a contender for match of the year.
Yeah, and just to add on to where you're going with it, I agree. Private Party, because we knew the stipulation is that the party's over, Private Party's done if they lose. This match played out like Private Party knew they were fighting for their lives.
Yeah, and they did a very good job of like putting in our heads that they're going to lose this match and break up. We had Stokely mentioning, yeah, Stokely, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mentioning that Shay was the singles competitor. Like he should be a singles competitor.
Zaya.
Zay. Yeah. They we had them losing a match between them and the Young Bucks just recently. So I mean, it just I honestly thought that the Young Bucks were gonna, come out the victor even before the match started. But I was pleasantly surprised that Private Party just really stepped up. I mean, I mean they did everything. We had Quinn hit Zay in the face with one of the championship belts.
He slammed him straight in the face with the timekeeper's bell.
With the timekeeper, okay.
Yeah, the bell.
Okay, well he rang his bell with the timekeeper's bell. And that's because he was stopping one of the, which one was it? He was stopping one of the Young Bucks.
I think Matt.
Yeah, I think Matt was going in to hit him in the face, and Quinn he came up behind him, he snatched the bell from him, and then he went to hit Matt in the face with it, and Matt ducked out of the way, and Quinn got Shayla just knocked the flavor right out of his mouth. And so he took
beamed Cassidy.
Yeah, and this was kind of early on in the match. So we were like, "Oh shit. Well, this is going to be an easy freaking match, man." And they even they gave us more storytelling, because when Zay finally came to, because I'm pretty sure he lived a whole life in the comatose state that he was in.
Yeah, after he got hit by that bell, it felt like they were trying to assassinate him, because, like, I think he was trying to get back into the ring at one point, and I think it was Nick. Nick got a hold of him and like Falcon arrowed him off of the ring steps to the floor, and so now he's been clobbered by the ring bell and like Falcon arrowed outside to the floor. So we were like, well, I guess Isaiah's out of the match.
Yeah,
and that leads into where you were going with it.
And they proceeded while Zay is just, seeing butterflies and bluebirds twitter around his head, and he's counting candy sheep. While he's doing that, Quinn is in the ring getting the rest of his life beaten out of him by the Young Bucks. I mean, honestly, early on we were like, Jesus, this is done. There were so many false finishes. There were so many.
Yeah, so many.
An excessive amount. Like how much? Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not me complaining. I'm just saying that there were plenty of times where I was like, okay, well, that is it for Private Party. And I guess that was part of the storytelling. It was an excessive amount of false finishers, though, because there was towards the end of the match, Quinn is trying to get Zay in. He's trying to tag him in. He's back now from his mental comatose
right, his like super concussion back broken trip.
Yeah, so he's back, and he's in his corner, and his head's like covered, his forehead's covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
And Quinn is trying to tag him in, and for a second, it looked like Brother Zay was gonna be like, man, fuck this.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It did, because like Quinn is sitting there reaching, trying to get this tag, and the Bucks are trying to keep him from making it, right? And you don't see Zay reaching back. So we were sitting there going, oh snap, is Zay about to just walk out on this match and leave Quinn?
The audience thought the same thing, because they just started screaming in panic mode, like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I saw several dudes reaching for their friend next to them going, no! Like,
yeah,
nobody was feeling that. But finally he reaches out and he gets the tag. And Zay comes in and does his level best. But eventually the Young Bucks overtake him. And now they're stumping him into the floor. And we get to a point where they're about to do a 3 count, and it's a false finish. And then they try it again, and it's another one. And Quinn, on the 3rd attempt, comes in and stops the pin, or stops the win. And then they proceed to obliterate him more, drag him down the apron all the way to the entrance. The entrance ramp. And then they come back to the match to continue their destruction of
Brother Zay, yeah.
Of Brother Zay. And we're like, well, why did they leave him out there? Well, that gets answered pretty soon, because here comes freaking Okada with his stupid smile on his face, and the referee is distracted. He's talking to the Young Bucks, who have him. They have basically the referee's back to Okada, and then
to the entrance ramp. Yep.
Yeah, and then here comes Okada with his tombstone on the ramp, and then he slinks away with his students.
It was pretty poetic. The destruction that befell poor Quinn. You mentioned, like, there was a point that I think Quinn was doing several dives out of the ring at each of the Young Bucks, and it looked like Private Party was about to get the one up on the Bucks, but Quinn was going to jump over the rope from the apron, and he got held onto, I think, by Nicholas Jackson. And
that's right.
This allowed, I want to make sure I'm getting the right Jacksons involved here. I think it was Nick. I think Nick is hanging on to him. No, sorry, I'm wrong. It was Matt who held on to him, and Matt puts him into a like where he's sitting up on Matt's shoulders, and I think that's called the electric chair position. And so while he's on Matt's shoulders just outside the ring, Nicholas jumps onto the apron right there.
That's right.
And super kicks Quinn off of Matt's shoulders. And that means Quinn just takes like a super nasty looking bump to the floor. Right. And it was from that they both grabbed his feet and dragged him all the way up to the stage. And then
then they proceeded to go into the ring, and that's when the Okada came out and did the right.
Yeah, and I think it was a situation where one of the Young Bucks had lost his shoe in the corner, so he had to put it back on, and so the ref was all distracted. And to kind of paint the poignancy of Okada delivering the tombstone up on the stage to Quinn, the decorations, since it's Halloween, is a whole bunch of little like fake astroturf, and like it's set up like a graveyard. There's like tombstones. There's a tombstone there for all the chips that Hook has eaten.
Yes.
And so you have Okada deliver a tombstone to Quinn in the graveyard, and we're like, that's it. It's over. It's over. There is no way Quinn is coming back in this match ever.
So now it's Quinn's time to dream and be comatose and see candy-coated sheep. He's out there, and it's just Candyland for him. And the Young Bucks, once they're back in the ring, that's when they proceed to just lay waste to Brother
Brother
Shay,
Zay.
Brother Zay, yeah,
Yeah.
Brother Shay.
Brother
uh,
Shay.
yeah, I mean, and I like, you think, how long is this dude gonna be able to hold out? His partner is all the way
Yeah.
on the other side of the ramp there, dreaming of, Tweety Birds and Candy Lanes. And there's nobody else, um so you're thinking this is definitely over. um
Yeah, at this point, they're hitting Zay with everything. Like, there's a
yeah,
powerbomb and Zagiri combo, and he kick, and then from there, they hit Gin and Juice on him. They steal Private Party's finisher move and do it to Zay. And we're like, this is it. This is where Private Party is done. And Zay
Yeah.
manages to kick out, and we're like, what? And so then they want to set up.
Super
They
kick
hit him.
party.
They hit him with a super kick party, and they try to
Kicks
pin
out.
him again, and he kicks out.
Yeah, they're about to do the EVP trigger, but when they're about to do it, Cassidy just hits the mat. He's dead weight. So then what was it?
They
Cassidy
try to
goes
set it
to
up.
Matthew for 2. Like they were like, something happened.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
they went for the EVP trigger, and he dead weighted him, and so then
Right.
they maneuvered him around a little bit more and try and go for it again, but this time he ducks, and so the Bucks clack their own knees together,
Yes.
and from there Cassidy rolled up Matthew for a quick 2. And so the tension is high because, like, at any moment now, Isaiah's got to be dead. Like, how much more can he kick out of? And then he got that quick roll up, and we're like, oh snap! So pretty good
So
stuff.
They get the EVP trigger finally. Cassidy's out. Before the 3, you can see Quinn trying to crawl back into the ring. But I think Nicholas did a V trigger.
Yeah, this was the part where we kind of got a little brief homage to Kenny Omega because the Bucks they're getting so desperate to like pin Zay that Nicholas hits him. Brother Zay had crawled to like the middle rope and was kind of sitting there, and so Nicholas hits the V trigger, and then Matt Jackson picks up Brother Zay again into the electric chair position and hits him with a one-winged angel. And we're like, that's it. Zay is dead.
I mean, seriously, we've had the EVB trigger done to him. We've had super kick, basically a super kick party done to him. He's gotten the one
Gin and Juice
angel. He's gotten the Gin and Juice. I mean,
Zay has to be over. And so we're sitting there thinking this is it, right? Well, Quinn throws his body very much reminiscent of how Darby Allin, when he does his suicide dive, he sort of bodies it, like he throws his back into it. Quinn dives through the middle rope and like breaks up this pin, like a suicide dive into the ring to break up this pin. And we're like, oh my God, what is happening? And is this Private Party? And so then I think Nick tosses Quinn again to the outside and hits him with a suicide dive. And the Bucks are trying to set up the TK driver. But let's see. Quinn, I think, stops Matt Jackson. And Cassidy counters Nicholas with a Poison Rana. And that's right. They went for a TK driver, but instead of doing it from off the apron over the rope, they had set it up in such a way that it was going to happen from off of one of the turnbuckles in the corner.
Yeah.
So I want to say it was Matt Jackson that was on the corner, and after Cassidy counters Nick Jackson with the poison Rana, and Quinn knocks Matt off of his feet and racks him on, so that he's sitting in the corner. He's in the perfect position for gin and juice, and so Quinn runs up, hits the Hurricane Rana, and Brother Zay drills the cutter, and 1, 2, 3. Private Party are now the new AEW World Tag Team Champions.
Yeah. One hell of a match. I mean,
Yeah.
if you are watching this, most people would probably agree that this is the match of the night. For me, I still stand firm that match one for me is the match of the night, just because I enjoyed so much the storytelling and where it got Adam Cole. I just enjoyed everything about that match. But that does not deter me from enjoying or being able to say that match two for the AEW World Tag Team Championships was amazing. Both parties, Young Bucks
Yeah.
and Private Party, looked phenomenal. And I know a lot of people say that Private Party should have had this win the last time that they went against the Young Bucks. But for the storytelling and the hype that this match
Yeah.
gave us, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I think
I am.
it happened exactly as it should have. It was great.
I have a couple of things I'd like to mention. One, as far as match of the night, I'd be hard pressed to pick one. If I absolutely had to, I might go with the Bucks and Private Party here, just for the insanity that was all of the in ring action, plus all the storytelling, plus all the stakes, plus all the false. Like, this was a storytelling match, but it also gave you like so much of the in ring that you come to watch AEW for. But that said, like I say, I'm hard pressed because literally every match on the card tonight was a banger, and so really it was show of the night, like just phenomenal. And I really think that the storytelling was very good in this match. I mean, there was a lot of stakes. Like, people were holding their breath trying to figure out, which of these false finishes will be the actual finish.
Yeah.
And there were so many times, like Brother Zay was just obliterated at the beginning of the match, and it was largely in part because Quinn beamed him with the ring bell. And so you see, oh man, is this where Private Party are going to break up? Then you had Zay get up on, the ring side and then not really make a huge effort to tag Quinn in. So we're like, oh snap, is Zay fixing to walk out on Private Party? And then later on, you get Quinn just demolished and tombstoned by Okada. And so it's like now Zay is all alone in there. And, for so many parts of this match, the Young Bucks just had to deal with one half of Private Party. And, we're kicking the crap out of the one who was like in the ring, as well as some of the ones that were out. And so this match had some crazy tension throughout and was just a really good storytelling match on top of having some really insane in-ring action. I mean, not for nothing, it was cool to see a bit of an homage in the form of a V-trigger and a one-winged angel by the Bucks. And so it was a great match, long story short. And once it was over, the Bucks looked like they were going to be dicks about it, and they ripped the belts away from Private Party. But then after, kind of coming to terms for a second, like sort of looking back and forth at each other, they walk right over to Private Party and put the belts on their shoulders, and then just sort of nod in a show of an uncharacteristic show of sportsmanship from the EVPs. And at that point, we get to celebrate that Private Party are now the new World Tag Team Champions. And I don't know that anybody thought that's the way it was going to go. I mean, I went into this thinking, Private Party's getting broke up tonight.
Yeah. Yep. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Indeed. So it was really, 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 really good. After that, the Bucks seemed to quickly leave the ring, and that sort of ties into them quickly doing a lot of things from here on out. But immediately following that, we cut to a segment where Chris Jericho and the Learning Tree, which is Brian Keith and Redwood Big Bill, are kind of giving a promo to the camera. I want to say they look like they were on the entrance stage, but they had the angle wasn't like to the stage. The angle was like the cameraman is on the stage and the crowd is in the background. And so we have Chris Jericho talking about how he is now a 2-time Ring of Honor World Champion, just like Jay Briscoe. And he wouldn't have been able to do it without the rest of the Learning Tree. And he goes on to say that he is going to take the Ring of Honor Championship to the biggest stages and the biggest success it's ever seen. And he says, how, you might ask? Because he's Chris Jericho. And he goes on to say, I'm sorry, then Brian Keith says, never underestimate Chris Jericho, you dumbasses. And Jericho finishes with saying, like, enjoy the ride because Jericho is going to take Ring of Honor to places and heights it's never been before. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
No,
not really.
Not
really.
And roll the outro. No, too soon.
No.
And that brings us to the third match of the night. Camille with the CEO Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander. And would you like to say something about this match?
You know what? I actually would. I would like to say that I'm very, very surprised that I did not dislike this match. I would like to say that Camille. Excuse me. I can't even get it out. Like my body is turning against me. They didn't want me to say any of what I'm trying to say. Like I'm choking through it. But no, Camille looked good. It was short. And a lot of women's matches tend to have that issue. But I'm actually okay with it being shorter because longer would have given Camille an opportunity to disappoint me. And I'm okay with her not disappointing me. Oh gosh. Honestly, so Statlander did an F5 that looked good.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm trying to think of a move that Camille did.
A couple few that were very good.
Really good. But she did no, she didn't. She did a God, what did she? You go ahead. Tell me the moves that she did, because I know she did like at least two that I thought looked good.
There were some really nice like slams, like what you'd want out of two powerhouses. Like you mentioned, Statlander hit an F5 that was beautiful. She also power slammed the bejesus out of Camille. But then Camille came back with like a running guillotine leg drop that looked amazing.
That's right.
Like it looked so good. I was blown away. I was like, I don't know what Camille's finisher is, but it should probably be that because that thing looked fantastic the way it was done. And then Camille also drilled Statlander with a torture rack into a power bomb that looked really, really nice. I'm surprised that Shivani didn't immediately call it a Blue Thunder Bomb.
Yeah.
It was really good. Like you said, this wasn't a super long match, but the spots that it hit really well. And I want to say Camille then went after hitting the torture rack powerbomb on Statlander. They only got a 2 count. Camille picks up Statlander in what looks like she's going to try for the Saturday night special, or maybe just a tombstone, right? But I would imagine, in my head, she was trying to steal Statlander's move to show her up. And instead, Statlander reverses the tombstone, getting Camille instead in a tombstone position, and that leads to the Saturday night special and the 1-2-3. And while this wasn't, like you said, a long match, everybody hit their spots, and this was the best Camille has ever looked.
Yeah. You are not wrong. Now, because Statlander won, Mercedes was not happy.
No.
After the match, Mercedes hit Statlander in the back with the title. And then she gets on mic and orders Camille to the back. Like she was like, get in the back. No, like
yeah, like orders her to the back. Like I was waiting for the sound of a bullwhip cracking when she said it.
Yeah, seriously. And Camille was like, but she started walking to the back, and Mercedes says if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, it should be stated that we're not up on Mercedes Moné. She does not typically look very good in the ring, and just hasn't presented in AEW in the fashion that like the hype would lead us to believe. Long story short, disappointing with Mercedes thus far. But though Mercedes did not have a lot to do in this match, everything she did was on point. Like, when she hit Statlander in the back with the title is underselling it. Like, she full blasted Statlander. Like, she hit her hard enough to make me believe that Statlander would be down for as long as she was while she was getting talked down to by Mercedes.
Yeah.
And Mercedes ordering Camille to the back absolutely carried the venom that it needed to, with like, a boss really, really pissed off at their henchman failing. And it looks like we now are going to have Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander at Full Gear. And if this match is any indication of how it can be in such a way that Camille can look good, then I'm not ruling out that we could see a turnaround and Mercedes could look good. I'm not trying to be, naive here. We haven't seen that from her yet, but I'm willing to be cautiously optimistic because this match with Statlander and Camille was way better than what I expected coming in.
Yeah.
And
you're absolutely correct.
We recently, in another podcast, made the comparison that Camille is kind of doing the exact same shtick as is happening in WWE with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Yeah. Except here is where Camille has differentiated herself. She looked fantastic in the ring. Her in-ring work was really, really good for this match. Like, really good. And in that way, she is now superior to Raquel Rodriguez, who has yet to impress me with anything she's done in ring since she's come back.
Yeah, I agree. So, by this point, man, she's gonna have to really step up now because the Camille and Rodriguez are not the same, not anymore.
Nope, Camille has stepped up her game. And, comparison cannot be avoided. I mean, these are two identical situations. You've got Mercedes Moné, a double champion, and the smaller of the competitors involved here with a taller, bigger, stronger henchwoman. This is exactly pound for pound, note for note, beat for beat, the same shtick going on with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And Camille has just shown up Raquel, in their matching roles, by an order of magnitude. Camille's in-ring work did not fail at all. She looked really good. The guillotine leg drop blew my mind. The torture rack bomb looked good. Her getting Statlander up for a tombstone and then having it reversed by Statlander kind of like Camille had to basically do a back bend for this particular counter to go. It's not an easy counter to go into that rolling tombstone where you counter from the tombstone position into the tombstone position. It requires a degree of flexibility and balance. And, you know, Camille succeeded on all points. And that has just not been the case for poor Raquel Rodriguez. So I invite Raquel to really step up her game. What's that?
I said, stop sucking. I encourage Raquel to stop sucking, please. Please and thank you.
Yeah. So in these two very similar shticks that are going on like simultaneously in AEW and WWE, I have to give the points to Camille and Mercedes at this juncture because they both looked better than their counterparts, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez over on WWE. And Chris Statlander was Chris Statlander. Like, she was flawless. She did exactly what we expect Chris Statlander to do, and she looked good doing it.
Yeah.
So, you know, if Chris is, I guess in this scenario, the analog to Rhea Ripley, I'm not sure if Chris is at the Rhea Ripley level, but Chris Statlander is definitely, like, you know, she fulfills her role in equal, you know, greatness. Match 3, the women's match of the night, also a banger. Again, not quite as long as some of the other matches, but for what it came to do, it did so flawlessly. And nothing but kudos for Camille, Mercedes, and Chris in this. Yeah. Very well done.
I am in agreement. And then after that, we had the main event, if I'm correct. Swerve Strickland.
Whose house?
Yes. Swerve's house. Swerve Strickland with Prince Nana versus Shelton Benjamin with MVP. And I'm going to come right out and say, I know for a lot of people, this is probably match of the night. And to which I reply, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with anyone if they picked any one of these matches as their match of the night. Because all of them were good in one way or another. None of them were. I'm not down on any of these matches. So if this one was your match of the night, then yeah, you are correct because it was another banger. And I think Shelton Benjamin looked the best in this match than he has. Every time I see the dude in the ring, he gets better. He gets just. It's like riding a bike or something. Like, my man, he is in full gear now. Like, he is ready to go.
I see what you did there. You went all out with that one.
I'll give you Shelton
credit.
Benjamin was all in. Thank you.
Yeah. These puns are dynamite, by the way.
It's a collision of funny words and whatnot. But honestly, Shelton Benjamin looked good. Some of the stuff he did looked brutal, and Swerve did a great job of selling these moves. Swerve looked good though when he got his moment to shine. He did so right like a diamond. I'm gonna turn it over to Josh here because he's gonna have all the names for the moves and whatnot. I know very few of the names of these moves. Josh is a walking wrestling dictionary, so he'll have all for you. It's the truth. He'll have all that for you, and I'm just gonna tell you from an emotional fan who loves to scream about wrestling like I'm actually at the event. That's how I can give it to you. And I honestly, everything about this was a delight. The storytelling involved was great. The moments between Prince Nana and MVP were great, where they were just screaming at each other. outside the
Oh
ring,
yeah,
or standing next to each other, like watching the match, and basically like, get away from me, you get away from me, that kind of stuff. It was
yeah,
great. Um, and Swerve and Shelton. I mean, Swerve Strickland, I believe, is 35 years of age, and Shelton Benjamin is 49 years old. And both of these men got in the ring and wrestled like they were 20. Um, there was Shelton Benjamin is 49 where? Uh,
yeah. He's got a better physique at almost 50 than most people will ever have in their whole lives. It's
yeah,
insane.
I think he's like 1 or 2 years older than Bobby Lashley. So my man is a age for him is literally nothing but a freaking number. Because there's no stopping him. There was no slowdown. There was no, I need a break here, and we'll just do a whole bunch of slaps and nah. They went 0 to 100 and remained there from beginning to end with this match, and it was amazing, fun to watch, good to see, and I think I'll just hand it over to Josh so that he may now say his piece.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, of Shelton Benjamin, I'll say this. The guy's been wrestling for a long time. He's got a wealth of experience. That said, this is what his third televised match in AEW, and he's already like taken it to Swerve Strickland. I
Yeah.
mean, only because he has that much experience could a guy, jump to a new promotion and immediately be so comfortable.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like Benjamin absolutely was like ragdolling Strickland for a lot of this. He was hitting that. I want to say it's like a high crotch suplex almost, but it's not even quite a suplex. It's like if a suplex and a back body drop had a love child. It's this move where he sort of
Mhm.
locks his hands together, between the legs of his opponent, and then just proceeds to yeet them over his head as high and as hard as he could possibly do so.
Yeah.
And he yeeted Swerve pretty good. And Swerve's not like, I mean, there are bigger guys, but Swerve's no small guy either. And
No.
he just was like, yeet, and Swerve went flying.
I believe you can fly. And so
Yeah,
it's like,
he was.
yeah, I guess I am.
He was throughout this match tossing Swerve everywhere. Like there were several German suplexes that were
Yeah.
like big release German suplexes where he's throwing Benjamin is tossing Swerve backwards like by several feet between them. I was like, you hit 2 or 3 more German suplexes and somewhere Brock Lesnar's going to be like, hey, that's my thing.
Yeah.
And
It
that's
was
the
already
kind
an
of beast.
F5. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, seriously. That's the kind of beast, though, that Benjamin is showing to be here, and that's fantastic. And he looked great. There was also a very nasty snap suplex to Swerve Strickland by Benjamin out on the floor, and I was like, oof.
Yeah.
But I mean, to Swerve's credit, he's gotten huge. Like he is absolutely top card, if not the tippy top of the card in AEW right now. And this guy is still perfectly willing, if not more so, to take the biggest, nastiest bumps.
Yeah.
And this was just a kind of brutal match. There was a point where Swerve attempted to do kind of that sequence where he pretty much rolls a guy into a vertical suplex position from he starts on the ground and sort of almost gator rolls them into a standing vertical suplex. But instead of getting the vertical suplex, Benjamin countered it. So I mean, this was a tremendous back and forth. Swerve ends up landing a couple of nice shots himself. He gets the house call. And then from the house call, he lands a beautiful 450 splash. And I mean, this was just a heck of a match.
Yeah.
Every time it looked like Swerve was trying to steal back control of the match, Benjamin would counter it almost immediately. And it's like, oof, Swerve's, dealing with a walking wall here. Swerve eventually was able to snag a Rolling Thunder flatliner because, like, the first time he tried to hit that flatliner, Benjamin just held on and didn't let it.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't go down with it and ended up like just slamming Swerve into the mat. But he does connect with it, and at this point, both men are down, and we're heading in towards the close of this match, and Swerve heads to the top rope, but Benjamin jumps up and immediately runs up to the top rope and catches him. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh man, this is a throwback to Kurt Angle. He's going to run up there and either hit him with like a neck lock suplex or a belly to belly off the top. But Swerve manages to, hang on and then ducks down underneath Benjamin and just drills Shelton Benjamin with like a massive Liger bomb out of the corner. And then with Benjamin laid out by the Liger bomb, Swerve quite gracefully sort of just jumps backwards up to the top rope and then lands a beautiful Swerve stomp, and we get the 1, 2, 3. Your winner, Swerve Strickland. And I'm not sure anyone is terribly surprised that Swerve won, but I don't really think that was necessarily the point. The point was to give a good showing to Shelton Benjamin, and Shelton took Swerve to the absolute limit compared to anybody else Swerve has fought, except maybe Hangman, right? But, like, this was a hell of a match. Like, for the most part, Benjamin was just smashing Swerve Strickland until he wasn't. And Benjamin looked phenomenal.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
The end of the match is not where this story ends.
Mm-mm.
Would you like to pick it up?
Sure.
And yeah, go for it.
Sure. So after the match, and I mean, geez, we've already said it. I've already said it. Shelton Benjamin, A++. Gold standard for sure. No questions asked now. I have nothing. I got no questions. I got no qualms. Gold standard. That's you. That's you. But after the match, the lights go out for like a split second. And I think I thought what everybody probably thought. House of Black? What do they want?
Yeah, I think one of the announcers even said that. I think Daddy Magic might have said, "What was it? Is House of Black coming out?"
Yeah. We're like, what do they want with Swervington? But
and this is after we saw, I think, MVP pick up his cell phone and make a phone call at ringside immediately after the match.
Yes. The MVP was on his phone, talking to somebody, and then we had the lights out, and we were like, "Oh, is he friends with the House of Black? What up?" But no, it was not. Twernt House of Black. 'Twas Bobby Lashley. One Bobbyeth Lashington. Comes out.
Indeed, and the crowd loses it for Bobby.
Loses their shit. He comes out clean as usual in a nice little suit. Saunters on up to the ring, stares down Swerve. And I think Benjamin tried to go in for an attack, but Swerve avoided it. But he did not avoid Lashley, who gave him a giant lariat.
Yep.
And then a spine buster.
And then the spine buster was beautiful. Yeah, Benjamin ends up getting Swerve off into a corner, and then from the corner he Irish whipped Swerve to Bobby Lashley, and Bobby Lashley hits the most gigantic one-armed spine buster, like 10 feet in the air. Swerve Strickland was.
Yeah, seriously. Swerve Strickland went into the air and was like, "Hi, God," and then slammed right back down to the mat, right back down to earth, where he remembered that he was in fact mortal and could bleed and die. MVP, he took out Prince Nana. They got into it. I think he was choking him out with his cane. And then yeah, I think, and then Lashley gave Strickland the full Nelson, and
Yep.
that's
The Hurt
pretty much
Lock.
it.
I don't know if he's still calling it the Hurt Lock, but yeah, the full Nelson. And he
The
looks like
Hurt
he's.
Syndicate.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Hurt Syndicate is, as I believe, what they were calling it.
No, I think the Hurt Syndicate's the faction. That's Bobby Lashley. Yeah, that's MVP
Right.
Bobby Lashley. Right. I was talking about the name of the full Nelson. I believe Lashley calls his full Nelson the Hurt Lock.
Okay. You know what? Gotcha. I'm with you now. Sorry.
No, all good. But yeah, Bobby Lashley is sitting there literally trying to squeeze Swerve Strickland's head off of his neck with this full Nelson. And not too long after that, security starts rushing the ring to try and save Swerve because, I mean, you know, they don't want Swerve Strickland to be actually decapitated.
Yeah.
And the Hurt Syndicate then proceeds to obliterate like all of the security that are thrown his way, and we sort of close the show with Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin standing over the dilapidated bodies of security guards and Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana, and MVP sort of walks to the middle with being flanked by Bobby and Benjamin, and picks up a microphone and says, "The Hurt Syndicate is complete." And that's the close of the show.
Yeah. The audience is left losing their freaking minds. And Swerve and Prince Nana are back in the ring, along with several other security guards who are in the ring. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, I have to ask. I got to ask you. What is your rating of Fright Night Dynamite?
Fright Night Dynamite might be some of the best regular, like not a pay-per-view, not a PLE.
Right.
This might have been one of the best regular wrestling programs I've seen in a minute.
Yeah.
To answer your question, top tier, unequivocally. This on a numeric scale would be like a 9. So yeah, absolutely top tier, because every single one of the matches of the night was fantastic, both for the storytelling and for the in-ring action. Like, flawless on all counts. Like, these matches were bangers, every single one of them, which is why when we were trying to pick like match of the night, I don't know which one to pick. I'd probably lean towards either Swerve Strickland or the Young Bucks match if I have to, but it's not because the other matches, like there's you know how sometimes we have a worst match of the night? There wasn't one. Every single match tonight did exactly what it came to do. The in-ring was flawless, the storytelling was perfect. This was, you know, not to riff on Shelton Benjamin's shtick, this was a gold standard for a wrestling program. Like, this could have been a pay-per-view. It's just that it would have been one of the shorter pay-per-views that AEW's ever done.
Yeah. It's like they were trying to make up for Battle of the Belts.
Mayhaps. So yeah, this was absolutely the show to watch, start to finish. There's no part where I want to say this is where you go get your popcorn. If you do, you're gonna miss something fantastic. There was no worst match of the night. There's nothing but contenders for the best match of the night. Yeah.
If there was an opener for this show, it would have been It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Fright Night Dynamite is here to help you forget about Battle of the Belts.
Yeah, this Dynamite exploded. Like, this went off. So yeah, top tier with zero reservations. Top tier with prejudice. This was a phenomenal show.
Yeah, I agree. I'll keep mine short. This was definitely top tier. I would give this like Josh a 9. maybe even a 9.5. It was fun. It was fun. That's the main takeaway from this. It was fun throughout, from beginning to end. There was nothing that was boring. There was nothing that I wasn't interested in. Even Camille going against Statlander, I was interested in. So and then they kept me interested by giving me a good match, giving me a competent, decent fucking match. So top tier all around, absolutely fun. Every if I had to pick, if if I were to be forced to pick an absolute match of the night, despite my opinion of just loving the first match based on storyline and selling of the match overall, if I had to pick, I would say fucking yes. Like holding a gun to me to absolutely pick the definitive match of the night, I could not give it to you. I enjoyed every single one. I'm only picking one as a favorite because of, like I said, the storyline, the story that was told and how it was told. That's it. And who the people involved who were telling the story. That's honestly, this entire show was just fucking fun. No boring spots. Insanity throughout, man. There was just shit happening at every moment where we were like, "What's this now? What's going on over here?" It was great, fun. Thank you for giving me a wrestling episode or show that was just fun. It was just fun.
Yeah, nothing, no negatives, nothing. I mean, this was all upsides. Everything about this show, absolutely. It gets 9 out of 10 jack-o'-lanterns.
Yes. Oh my god.
And it is with that said that we come to the end of Fright Night Dynamite.
Oh no.
I would like to thank you for having joined us on this episode of Top Tier Wrestling, and I hope and invite you to join us for the next one. Until then, there is nothing left for me to do but roll the outro.
Oh, now I gotta go. Bye, guys. Ooh. Bring it back.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest AEW and WWE news and shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Follow us on social media for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.